Buenas tardes muchachos, espero que todos estemos bien. Ya habíamos hecho la rutina del calendario y también ya hicimos los días de la escuela. Ahora es tiempo de empezar nuestra lección. Antes de empezar nuestra lección les quería decir que esta es la primera vez que me estoy grabando para poner esta lección en YouTube para que ustedes me puedan seguir aquí por medio de YouTube en vez de estar con nosotros en clase. Espero que de esta manera ustedes puedan seguir la clase más fácilmente, porque sé que ha sido un poco difícil con mis niños presenciales y también con ustedes aquí en Zoom. Ahora ustedes me pueden tener a mí y podemos estar uno en uno y así puedes pausar y repetir las lecciones como tú lo vas a necesitar, ¿ok? Así que ya hablando de eso, ya podemos continuar con nuestra lección. Así que vamos a cambiarnos a inglés porque en matemáticas hablamos inglés. ¿Listos? Good afternoon, boys and girls. I hope you're ready. We already did our calendar and we already did our days of the week and our days in school. So now it's time to get into our lesson, okay? We're going to start off by saying what we're going to learn today, because we always need to know that in school. What are we going to learn today? So I wrote it down and you're going to follow with me, okay? I read and then you say it with me. Our learning objective is what we're learning today. I will use comparative language to describe comparing two numbers up to 10. So now I'm going to read it all again, okay? I will use comparative language to describe comparing two numbers up to 10. So now that we've said it and we've heard it, let's think. What word have I already talked about that we used in this sentence? I will use comparative language. Comparative language to describe comparing two numbers. There's the word that I've used the whole week already. Compare. Comparative language means that I'm going to use the vocabulary that I learned last week about comparing. So before we start, let's go over our vocabulary words. Remember, last week we talked about the word compare. When I'm comparing two objects or two people, I'm looking to see what's the same and what's different. So right here, I have a marker and I have a pen. So let's compare our marker and our pen. Let's see. Let's start off by the color. Are they the same color? This is the color blue and this is the color pink. Now what else is different or maybe the same? Let's see, Miss Becerra already said this is a marker and this is a pen. So I already know that they're different things. This is a marker and this is a pen, so they're different. But what's the same about them? There has to be something the same about them. Let's think. What can I do with the marker? What does a marker do? If I grab my whiteboard, what does a marker do? A marker writes. Does a pen write? Yeah, a pen does write. If I get this piece of paper, can I write on it with my pen? Yes, I can. I'm not going to use my pen to write on my whiteboard because that's not going to work and I'm not going to be able to see it. But I know that I can use a marker and I can use a pen for writing. I can use them both for writing. That's something that's the same. Remember, I can also compare people. I can compare numbers, which is what we're doing this week. And I can compare objects. So like I said, we're going to compare objects today. I'm sorry. We're going to compare numbers today. Silly Miss Becerra. We're going to compare numbers. And we're going to compare our numbers using our two special vocabulary words. We already said compare. And I already said some of the words that we're going to use. I said something that's the same and something that's different. But remember, the vocabulary words that we've been using this week are more and less. So this week, we're going to use the words more and less in order to compare our numbers and also our objects, because sometimes we use our objects as our numbers, right? So let's start with the word more. Do you remember what the word more means? Let's think about it. Okay, you thought about it. Do you know what more means? Remember, there's a hand signal that we use. So if I have the number, let's see. Let me take out my whiteboard. I have some magnets, boys and girls, that we're going to use on my whiteboard. And we're going to see which of these has more. So if I put 1, 2, if I put 2 of my magnets here, let me write that down. If I have 2 magnets here, let me scoot you back so you can see it. Sorry. Okay, I have 2 magnets here. And then I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to put 4 magnets down here. Let me scoot you back so you can see it. Sorry. There we go. All right, boys and girls, I have 2 and I have 4. So let's go ahead and use our vocabulary words more and less in order to compare our 2 numbers. Remember that when I use the word more, I move my hands like this. More. More means that my number is bigger. So we're going to see which of our numbers and which objects show a bigger line. So let's see. I have the number 2 and I have the number 4. When I move my hands like this to show more, I can see, and if I do it this way, I can see a line that's longer. So whoever has a longer line is the number that's going to have more. So let's see. Here I have 2. But when I go to 4, is it going to be the same amount? Is it short, just like 2 is? No, because 2 and 4, they're different numbers. They're not going to be the same. So I can't say that 2 and 4 are the same number. I already know that I'm going to have to use the word more. Somebody has more. Who has more? Let's see. When I say 2, I go 1, 2, and I stop right here. That's a pretty short line. Let's try it with 4. Let's see if 4 is also a short number. Let's see. 1, 2. Oh, but there's more. There's more. I see another counter. I'm going to have to keep going. What's happening to my hand, boys and girls? It's getting longer. It's getting bigger. So I already see a number that is more than the other. Remember, I can use the word bigger and more to describe the same number. Who has more, boys and girls? 4 does. 4 is more than 2. And I know that 4 is more than 2 because 4 has a longer line of counters. I see I can match these 2 up. Let's see. 1 and 2. I can match these up. These are the same amount. These are the same. 1 and 2. But if I look at the line for 3 and 4, do they have a buddy? Somebody I can match them with? No, I don't have any buddies I can match them with. These are extras. Let's say extras. Extras. These counters are left over. These are extras. That means that the number 4 has more counters than the number 2. The number 2 does not have any counters here. So I know he is not more. The number 4 has more. And again, remember, I can use my hands. Whoever has a longer line has more. So who has more? 2 or 4? 4 does, because look at my hand. I have to go all the way down to express for the number 4. But I don't have to do that for number 2. So again, say it with me. 4 is more than 2. But remember, I have another vocabulary word that I've been using. I used more. Good job saying 4 is more than 2. But I also have another word. I have the word less. The word less. Remember, we used it last week, so you should know how to represent it with your hands. Can you show me what less looks like with your hands? Okay, less looks like this. Less, less, less. Remember, another word that I can use for less is smaller. When I move my hands like this, I have a smaller amount. So let's look to see between 4 and 2 who has a smaller amount. So let's see. I have 4 and I have 2 again. Here's 4 and here's 2. I know 4 is not going to be less because I already said that 4 has more. It has a longer line. But remember what my hands look like when I show less. My hands get together. Look at how together they are. When I have more, they're not together. They're really far apart because I have a really big number. I have a lot of counters between my hands. But when I show you less, there's not a lot of counters between my hands. So I'm going to see who has more and who has less. Okay, here's 2 and here's 4. Remember, less is when my hands are closer together. So where were my hands closer together? With 2 or with 4? With 2 or with 4? My hands were closer with 2. Look at how close my hands are when I'm only showing 2 counters. But when I show 4, my hands have to go apart. They have to show more counters. So I know 4 has more. So who has less? Who has the less amount when my hands are closer? The number 2. The number 2 has less counters than the number 4. And I know that because remember, less means my hands are closer together. When I show 2 counters, my hands are closer together. So say the sentence with me, please. 2 is less than 4. Good. Let's say it one more time. 2 is less than 4. Good. 2 is less than 4. And I know that 2 is less than 4 because when I show 2 counters, my hands have to be closer together. And that means less. So can you show me more with your hands, please? More. Good. You have to fit a lot of counters between your arms. That's why your hands are really far apart, because you have a lot of counters. But when you have less, you don't have a lot of counters. There's a little bit of counters. Remember, when I say less, I can use little bit, I can use small, but I want to use my math word less, my math vocabulary word less, when I'm speaking in complete sentences. When I say more, I can also use the words bigger and a lot. But when I'm comparing, I'm using my comparative language, because remember, that's what we're doing today, using comparative language. I want to use the word more. So remember, today we're going to use more and less in order to compare our numbers. I can still say a lot, a little, big, and small, but I want to use my comparing words, less and more. Good. And remember, we also have our hands to show more and to show less. Good. Okay, so thank you for the introduction, boys and girls. Now let's go ahead and get into our lesson. Remember, every single day in math, we're going to need our counters. Today I'm using cubes. If you have Legos, you can use Legos. If you have counters, you can use counters. You can use your frijolitos. You can use your Play-Doh. You can use the fuzzy little balls that I know Carlos has. As long as you have your manipulatives. Remember, we use manipulatives in math because we want to move our fingers. We want to touch and move. So go ahead and go get your manipulatives. And you're also going to need your notebook. Get your math notebook. I don't have my math notebook because I'm going to use my whiteboard. I'm also going to use a marker to write. You are going to need a pencil. So again, let's see all of our supplies for today. You're going to need your manipulatives, whatever manipulatives you use at your house. You're going to use your notebook. I have my whiteboard. Go get your notebook and go get a pencil, something to write with, okay? You can pause the video to go get your things. If not, I will wait 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, boys and girls, you ready to start our lesson? Remember, you are using a notebook, so go to a clean page, okay? Find a clean page that you have not used yet. I'm going to use my whiteboard. And on my whiteboard, you see that Ms. Becerra already drew 2 circles. You are going to draw 2 circles, okay? So go get your pencil and draw me 2 circles. 1, 2, okay? I'm going to give you 10 seconds for you to draw me 2 circles onto your clean page, okay? 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right, boys and girls, so you should have 2 circles on your notebook page. And in our circles, we're going to put our manipulatives. But we are also going to be drawing, boys and girls, okay? We're going to be drawing. I'm going to use my cubes, but I am also going to use my magnets because my magnets can stick. And my cubes do not stick, so I can't put my cubes on here, so I'm going to show you with my magnets, okay? And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to roll our dice in order to find our number, the 2 numbers that we're going to be comparing, okay? So let's start off with our small numbers. Remember, my red dice has my small numbers. And I'm going to shake, 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 and then I'm going to write and draw in my circle. Okay, so let's see what I got. What number did I get, boys and girls? I got 3. Good job if you said 3. I have the number 3, so that means that I have to represent it in my circle. Okay, so remember, you're using your manipulatives, and I'm going to use my magnets, okay? Before we do our manipulatives, boys and girls, hold on. Before we do our manipulatives, let's write our numbers first. Let's do our numbers first. Because we've been doing this for a while, let's see if we can compare using just the numbers first. Remember, we rolled the number 3, so go ahead and write 3 up here in your first circle. Oops, wrong marker. The number 3. Okay, if you don't have 3, there you go. You can copy it. The number 3. Okay. And remember, I'm comparing 2 numbers. So here's 1. I need another number to compare. I'm going to shake my dice. You remember, oops. I need this how to remember. We roll on the table. What did I get? I got a 5. Good job if you said 5. Remember, we're not putting our manipulatives yet. First, we're just going to write the number. So write the number 5. And good job if you can write it all by yourself if you don't need to wait for Ms. Becerra. Good job. So we're comparing the numbers 3 and the number 5. Before we even put manipulatives, boys and girls, let's just look at our numbers. Let's just look. I have 3 and I have 5. Is this the same number, boys and girls? 3 and 5. Is it the same number? If I'm not sure, I can show it with my fingers too. 3, here's 3 and here's 5. Is that the same number? 3 and 5? No, it's not. 3 and 5 is not the same number. And if I look at the way I wrote it, 3 and 5, I didn't write it the same. So this is not the same number. I already know that I'm going to have to compare them using my vocabulary words, more and less. So let's see. Before I compare them, I already know that they're different. Now we can go ahead and compare using our manipulatives, okay? So grab your frijolitos, your Play-Doh, your counters, and let's put 3 of them in our notebooks, okay? Let's put 3 of our counters. I'm going to use my magnets. Count with me, please. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 counters in my circle with 3. Go ahead and show me 3 frijolitos, 3 Play-Doh balls, 3 counters, whatever that you use, okay? Show me 3. And put them in your notebook. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to do this, okay? All right, we already put them in our notebook. Now, take out your pencil and let's draw them. Let's draw them because I want to move these too. So let's draw them. Just take your pencil and trace them, just like I'm doing here. So that when I move them, I still have something to represent 3. So if I move my counters, I still have that there, okay? So here I go, I'm just gonna put it back. Okay, and we're gonna do the same on the other side, okay? So I have 3, now I need to show 5 as well. So now take out the rest of your counters, the rest of your manipulatives, and show me 5, please. Can you count with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, boys and girls, I just did 5. I put them in my whiteboard. Now remember, you also have to put them in your notebook. So get your frijolitos, get your Play-Doh balls, and put 5 of them into your 5 circle, okay? I'm going to give you 5 seconds to do this. Awesome, boys and girls. You put 5 of your counters, 5 of your manipulatives into your 5 circle. Good job representing it. Now remember, you're going to take your pencil and you're going to draw around it. We want to draw it so that when I move it, I still have my counter drawn. Okay, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, boys and girls. Now make sure that you drew them too, okay? So in case you need to move your frijolitos, your drawing is still there, okay? And remember, you can pause the video, you can stop Miss Becerra and do your work, or I'm just gonna give you another 5 seconds to do this, okay? All right, boys and girls, we should have drawn our counters, okay? So now I have a representation of 3 and of 5. So now I can compare. Now I can use my vocabulary words more and my vocabulary word less. Let's remember with our hands what more and less looks like. Remember, I have more and I have less. More means I have a lot of counters in between my hands. Less means I do not have a lot of counters. I have a little bit, a small amount of counters between my hands. So you see this sentence down here, boys and girls, this sentence stem, this is what we're going to say. This is also what we're going to read. We need to fill this out. We need to see who has more and who has less, okay? 3 and 5. If I look at the top row, I see that they both have 3. Look, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so far it's the same. I still don't know who has more and who has less because the top row is the same. They both have 3. But if I go to the bottom row, 3 does not have any more counters. They're out of counters. They're done. But 5, oh, 5 has these extra leftover counters. How many leftover counters do they have, boys and girls? 1, 2. Oh, they have 2 extra counters. I can match these, boys and girls. This has a buddy. Number 2 has a buddy. Number 3 has a buddy. This is number 4. Does number 4 have a buddy over here? Does number 5 have a buddy over here? This means that 5 has extra counters. These 2 extra counters means it has what, boys and girls? If it has 2 extra counters, that means it has more counters. So we just found out who has more. On my top row, it's the same, but on the bottom, look, this is extra. It has more counters. So boys and girls, I just found out who has more. Who has more? 5 does. 5 has more counters than 3. So now I can fill up my sentence stem, okay? So I can say 5. I'm going to write the number 5. Oops, let me get my other marker. 5 is more than who? Who has 5 is more than who? 3. Okay, so let me write 3. All right. So here we go. Now I can read my number sentence. 5, and say it with me. Say it with me. 5 is more than 3. 5 is more than 3. And how do we know that 5 is more than 3? I know that 5 is more than 3 because of these 2 extra counters. These 2 extra counters means that it has more than 3. So now I need to flip it. Let's go ahead and flip it. I already know who has more. So now let's figure out who has less. Who has a smaller amount of counters, boys and girls? Remember, I'm only comparing 2 numbers, so who's the other number that I'm comparing? I already know 5 has more. So now who has less? 3 does, and I can check my work. I know that 3 has less because it does not have the extra counters on the bottom like 5. It ran out of counters. It's done. It only has these 3. So I know it has a less amount. It has a smaller amount. So now I can go ahead and fill out my number sentence, boys and girls. Who's less? 3 is because it does not have enough counters like 5. So now I'm going to write 3. 3 is less than who? 5. So let's write 5. Okay, so now go ahead and say it with me, boys and girls. 3 is less than 5. Let's say it all together. 3 is less than 5. And how do I know that 3 is less than 5? Because 3 does not have any extra counters like 5 does. Whoever has extra has more counters. And who had more counters? 5 did. So 5 is more than 3, and if I flip it, 3 is less than 5. Awesome, boys and girls. This sentence, you can write it down in your journal. Remember, you can just stop Miss Becerra. You can just pause me, and you can write down this sentence. Because remember, we need to practice saying it, okay? So that it gets easier. I'm going to go ahead and take these off. Oops. And they're kind of sticky. So see, when I took them off, I still had my drawings, okay? And I'm going to show you one other way to compare them, okay? Because I have my cubes with me and I want to use them. Okay, so remember I had 3 and I have 5. So let me show you that with my cubes really fast. Okay, so let's say 3 is yellow. So I'm going to show you a tower of 3. And if you have Legos, take out 3 Legos. Do it with me. 1, 2, 3. Here's my tower of 3, okay? And now with my green color, I'm going to show 5. We're going to see another way that we can show more and less, okay? So count to 5 with me. 1, oops, they're stuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I have a tower of 5 and a tower of 3. So remember, I'm going to take my whiteboard and I'm going to show you again what does 3 and what does 5 look like. Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to match them up and I'm going to see, are they the same height? Let's see. Let me try to move my hands. All right, there we go. 3 and 5, boys and girls. Is this the same height? No, they're not the same height. I see that they're different. When I match them at the top, I look and I see 3 is missing this part. 3 is a lot shorter. So remember, when my hands get closer together, that means it has less. So who has less? Who makes my hands go a lot closer together? 3 does. Look at it. It's a lot shorter. Whoever's a shorter amount, less amount, that number has less. So I can see that 3 has less than 5. And again, remember, more means my hands are really spread apart because there's a lot of counters in the way. So who has more counters? 5 does. 5 is more than 3. So here's another way that I can represent it. Okay, boys and girls? 3 is less than 5, and 5 is more than 3. All right. So there's another way that I can represent it. So go ahead and find a clean notebook page. We're going to do one more example of this, okay? We're going to do one more example. And I have an eraser, so I'm just going to erase this. In the meantime that Ms. Becerra is erasing, find a clean notebook page and draw me 2 more circles, okay? Alrighty, boys and girls, I'm done. Remember, if you're still working, you can pause me. Okay, so now we're going to do random numbers. So I'm going to try my blue dice. Ooh, remember my blue dice has bigger numbers. So I'm gonna move my stuff. Okay, blue dice. Oh, we already did this number, boys and girls. What is it? It's 5. Good, remember, we're going to start with just the number to see if they're the same or different, just by looking at the number, okay? So on your first circle, let's write the number 5. And good for you if you can write it all by yourself, okay? If you need help, it's right there. So I'm going to compare 5 with what other number? Let's see. Okay. What number am I comparing it to, boys and girls? 6. I'm comparing it to 6. So let's write 6 on our other circle. 6. All right. So just by looking at it, boys and girls, let's look at the numbers 5 and 6. Is this the same number? No, it's not the same number. I see that I wrote it differently. And also, if I say it, 5, 6, that's not the same number. I'm not saying the same number. So I already know I can compare them using less and using more. I already know I can compare them because they're not the same number. So now I can go ahead and use my manipulatives. Take out your manipulatives to show me 5. I'm going to use my magnets. Remember, you can use your frijolitos or whatever manipulatives you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I put my manipulatives, I showed 5. Remember, I'm also going to draw them because when I'm working on this another day, I need to take off my frijolitos, right? I need to take off my manipulatives. But I still need to see what I did. So that's why I'm tracing it, okay? So I'm just tracing my manipulatives. You're tracing it too. Awesome. We should have 5. Okay. Remember, if you're still working, you can just pause me. Now on my other circle, I have the number 6, so I need to grab 6 manipulatives, okay? Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, these are stuck. Sorry. 5 and 6. Now I have 6. And remember, I need to trace them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I have 5 manipulatives here, and I have 6 manipulatives here. Alright, boys and girls, now I can go ahead and compare. Remember, my compare words are more and less. More means I have a lot of manipulatives in between my hands. Less means I do not have that many manipulatives between my hands. So let's see. Let's start by looking at the top row of our manipulatives. At the top, how many do I have? Count with me. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I'm going to look at the other row. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so far they're the same, boys and girls. So far they're the same. I have 3 on my top row, and I have 3 on this top row. Okay, so far they're the same. Now we have to look at the bottom row. And the bottom row of 5, how many counters do I have? I have 2. Okay, so now let's see on 6. How many counters do they have on their bottom row? 1, 2, 3. Boys and girls, that was not the same number. That was not the same. I said 2 and then 3. So that's not the same. Somebody has more and somebody has less. Let's see. Let's see. This can buddy here. So they have a partner. They have a buddy. What about this buddy? Found a buddy here. Good. So these 2 are the same. I have 2 and 2. But what about this leftover guy? Does he have a buddy to go with? No, he does not have a buddy he can match up with. That means that this counter is an extra. And what do we know about extras, boys and girls? Extras mean that that number has more. So I just found out who has more. Whoever has the extra has more. So who has the extra? 6 has extra. So that means that 6 is more than 5. So I just said my sentence. Let's go ahead and write it down. 6 is more because of this extra counter. It doesn't have a buddy over here. All right, so now I can go ahead and write that in my number sentence. 6 is more, and I know that this word is more because of the M. I see the M right here. You see it? The M. 6 is more than who? 5. So let's write 5. Okay, 6 is more than 5. Good, let's say it together if you didn't say it already. 6 is more than 5. 6 is more than 5. Good job. Now I need to flip it and find out who has less. So less means that my hands are closer together. That means it has a little bit of counters in between them. I know 6 is not less because 6 is more. So who has less? Who has a smaller amount? 5 does. 5 does because it does not have the extra that the 6 does. It does not have the extra. That means 5 is less. And I know this is the sentence for less because l. That's the L. And I see the L right here. Okay. So 5 is less than who? 5 is less than who? Than 6. So let's write 6. Say it with me. 5 is less than 6. 5 is less than 6. Good. 5 is less than 6. And remember, I'm going to show you using my manipulatives too, okay? So let's do yellow for 5. Because remember, the towers are another way that I can show my numbers. So I have 5. Let's build. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oops. There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my other number was 6. Let me take out my green to make 6. Can you count with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, boys and girls, I have 5 and I have 6. So I'm going to put them side by side, and we're going to see who has more and who has less. So just by looking, I put them at the same height. They're the same height. I put them here on my finger. I already see that they're at a different height, boys and girls. I see that this guy has an extra cube. Somebody's taller and somebody's shorter. So look at my hands when I say taller. Taller and shorter. What does taller remind you of? Does it remind you of a vocabulary word? Taller. Taller is just like more, right? So tall is another way to say more when we're comparing. And what about shorter? Shorter is just like when I do less with my hands. So whoever is taller also means that he has more. So who's taller, boys and girls? 5 or 6? Who's taller? 6. 6 is taller. And remember, taller is another way to say more. So another way that I can say that is 6 is more than 5. And remember, shorter is another word for less. So now let's say who has less. Who's shorter? Who's shorter, boys and girls? 5 is. So now I can say my sentence, 5 is less than 6. And I know that 5 is less than 6 because 5 is shorter. And remember, shorter looks just like when I move my hands for less. Awesome, boys and girls. So you did 2 with me. Good job. Now you're going to do 3 problems all by yourself, okay? You're still going to use your notebook. You're still going to use your pencil. And you're still going to use your manipulatives, okay? But let me show you what you're going to do. Because you do not have a dice at home, or I don't think you have a dice at home. If you don't, look at what we're going to do, okay? I have 2 sheets of paper. Go ahead and go find 2 sheets of paper, or tear out 2 sheets of paper from your notebook, okay? You remember, you can pause me, or I can give you 10 seconds. So hurry up and go find 2 sheets of paper. Go take them out, okay? You have 10 seconds. Did you beat me? Did you beat the timer? All right, boys and girls. So we have 2 sheets of paper. Take 1 sheet of paper. I'm going to put the other one to the side. Take 1 sheet of paper, and I'm going to rip it in half, okay? If you need help from mommy or daddy, go find mommy or daddy. If not, do it by yourself. So I'm ripping it in half. Now I have 2 sheets of paper, okay? I'm going to take this 1 sheet of paper, and I'm going to rip it in half again, okay? Going to take my other sheet of paper and I'm going to rip it in half again. Okay, now you should have 4 sheets of paper from that 1 sheet of paper. Look, if I connect it, I just made 1 sheet of paper. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing to the other one. So take your sheet of paper, I'm going to hold it the long way, and I'm going to rip it in half. And it's not going to come out perfect. Look, mine tore. It's not going to come out perfect. That's okay. I'm going to rip it in half. I'm going to take my other sheet of paper. I'm going to rip it in half. So let's count all of the pieces of paper that we have, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You should have 8 sheets of paper, boys and girls. Now that we have our 8 sheets of paper, take out your pencil. I'm going to use my pen. Take out your pencil, and we're going to write, okay? We're going to write our numbers 1 through 8. So write the number 1. 1. There's going to be 2. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6, 7, and 8. Alrighty, boys and girls. So we should have 8 sheets of paper, and they should all have a number on them, okay? So if you don't have dice, at your house, that's okay. You're going to use your sheets of paper, and we're going to mix them up. I'm going to separate them. I'm going to mix. Mix. Okay, and I'm not going to look, okay? I'm not going to look. I'm going to choose a card. Choose a card. What did I get? 2. Okay, so I'm going to compare the number 2 and the number 4. Okay, so I'm going to compare the number 2 and the number 4. All these other ones, put them to the side. We don't need them, okay? So in your notebook, you're going to do the same thing that you did with Miss Becerra, okay? When you did the dice with me, now you're going to roll, you're not going to roll, you're going to choose a sheet of paper. You don't have to do this one that Miss Becerra did, okay? I was just showing you how to do it. So you're going to choose 2 sheets of paper. You're going to choose 2 sheets of paper, and you're going to compare them just like we did, okay? So here are the numbers that I'm going to compare. You're going to compare different numbers, and that's okay. So you're going to compare 3 different times, okay? This is 1 time, and then you're going to compare again 2 times and 3 times, okay? You're going to do this that we did 3 other times, okay? All right, so you're going to do that in your notebook, okay? Now I'm going to tell you what we're going to do after, okay? Because this is work by yourself, okay? By yourself. So after you do this, remember, you can just pause Miss Becerra so you can go do this work right now. Bye, go do your work. And okay, now you came back and you just finished your work. You just finished comparing. I'm going to show you the activity that you have in Seesaw for today, okay? So I printed it out because in school we're going to do the same activity, and they're going to have it printed. You guys have it in Seesaw. This is the activity that you're going to do. It's called comparing apples. Comparing apples to apples. So you see that you have numbers inside of your apples. What do you think we're going to do, boys and girls? We're going to compare. We're going to see who has more and who has less. But I see that they only have numbers, and we were practicing with counters and manipulatives. So we're going to keep using our manipulatives. We're just going to place them on top, okay? So you're going to see it in your computer. So the first problem we have, let's do it together. The first problem that we have is number 5 and number 3. Okay, so go ahead and take out your manipulatives, and we're going to show 5 and 3. I'm going to do it with my towers, okay? So I see the number 5. Let's make 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't need you. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good, I made a tower of 5. And now I need a tower of 3 because that's in my question. 3. 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay. So just by looking at them, I know that they are not the same number. I can compare them. I can say someone has more and someone has less. Who has more? Remember, when I'm using towers, I can also say more is just like taller. So whoever is the taller tower is the number that has more. Who's the taller tower, boys and girls? 5 or 3? 5. 5 is the taller tower. So because he's taller, that also means he has more, okay? So 5 is more than 3. And if I flip it, I can say someone's shorter. Whoever is shorter, look at my hands, shorter is just like saying less. So who has less? Who's shorter? 3 or 5? 3. 3 is less than 5. Okay, boys and girls, so now that I compare them, I know who has more and who has less. So now in Seesaw, I'm going to use the pen. I'm going to use my pen, and I'm going to circle the number that has more. Whoever has more today is the winner. Okay, so let's circle the winner. Who had more? Oops, sorry. 5 or 3? Who had more, boys and girls? Which of these had more? 5 did. So let's circle 5. Which of these is 5, boys and girls? 5 or 5? Which one's 5? The first number is 5. This is 5, so I'm going to circle it. Oop, my marker dried out. Sorry, let me use my other marker. There we go. 5 is more than 3, and I know that because I used my manipulatives. 5 is the taller tower. That means that he has more. Remember, whoever has more today, we're going to circle. They're the winner. Good. Okay, so I circled 5. Good. Let's go to my next one. I'm going to do this one with you, and then we're done, okay? The rest you're going to do by yourself. Let's see. I have the number 4. Oops, sorry. I have the number 4, and I have the number 8. Okay, so let's show that with my towers. And remember, you're doing it with your frijolitos, with your manipulatives. 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't need you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops, 8. Sorry. 4 and 8. Okay. Whoa, they are not the same, boys and girls. I see that the yellow tower is way taller. That means because he's taller, he has what? More. So what number is this again? I forgot. Let me count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is more. I know it's more because it's what? Taller. So 8 is more than who? 1, 2, 3, 4. 8 is more than 4. And remember, I know that because this tower is a lot taller. So now who has less? Who's shorter? 4, right? Because if I look at it, oh, he's so little. So whoever's little, short, they have less. So who has less? 4 does. 4 is less than 8. Good. And remember, whoever has more, that's the winner. That's who we're going to circle. Who has more? 8 or 4? 8. 8 has more. So let's circle 8. And which of these is 8, boys and girls? It's this one. Good if you said it's this one. Let's circle it. Good. 8 is more than 4. And I know that because I showed it with my towers. Good. Okay, so now you're going to do the rest of it by yourself. Remember, this is in Seesaw. I'm just showing you here so that you can see what your work looks like, okay? So use the pen to circle the number that has more. All right, boys and girls, remember when you're done, you press the green check mark and you turn it into Ms. Becerra, and then I approve it, okay? So we did 2 of them with Ms. Becerra, so remember to circle 5 and to circle 8 because those have more, and then you're going to do the rest by yourself, okay? So that's all for today's math lesson, okay? So let's go over our objective one more time. What did we learn today? I will use comparative language to describe comparing 2 numbers up to 10. That means that we got to use our vocabulary words today. And what were our vocabulary words? They were more and less. Can you show me with your hands what do more and less look like? Can you show me more? More. And if I'm making a tower, I can do it this way. And whoever has more is really tall. They're so tall, they have a lot of cubes. And whoever has less, boys and girls, whatever tower has less, they're short, they're small. They do not have a lot. Less means smaller. Or I can do it this way, smaller. Good, so I got to use my comparative language today, boys and girls. More and less. All right, so good job, boys and girls. I hope that you turned in all of your work. Remember, you can watch this again if you need any help. And if you still need help from Ms. Becerra, remember to send me a message, okay? So I hope that you did a good job and then you got your answers correct, all right? So you did a really good job today, boys and girls, and I will see you after class, okay? Remember that after math, you go to specials, so make sure you listen today what specials we have for today, okay? All right, so go to specials, and then I will see you for science, okay? Bye, boys and girls.